Alright, welcome to part 2 of this video. I felt like we were running a little long, so we'd break this up into 2 videos, maybe 3. I guess you'll know that before I do. I'll put a link up here for the first video in case you missed it. Anyway, so we're going to get that Invision dash installed today in this 81 Square Body Chevy. But pro tip number 1, anytime you do an install, you should test fit your parts before you get too involved with wiring, plumbing, or doing any fabrication. These are brand new accessories for these trucks. I don't know how many of them have actually been sold and installed. I haven't seen too many. But you want to lay it in here and make sure it looks right and fits right before you start getting a little overzealous on the install and the components. So I'm going to remove the steering wheel to make this easy for me to work and for you to see, and the dash pad will fit it. It's loose, but we'll fit that in here and then remove that as well before we start wiring. Another thing we want to do to make our lives easier, and it's actually recommended in the instructions from Autometer, is to disconnect the wiring harness really gently, not to break that. And that will pull out. Then we have a couple of Phillips screws here. Interestingly enough, the instructions call for T10 Torx screws, but this unit actually equipped with Phillips heads. So they may have made that change post-manual. Here's another pro tip. Anytime you take out fasteners, you notice there's some spacers here as well. You're always better served to reinstall them back where they came from while you're working. Oops. So because you're not really ever sure how long it'll be before you start putting this back together. And the last thing you want to run into is having to do a bunch of guesswork. First of all, as to where the hardware is, and second of all, as to the proper place for it to be. So we can test fit this in there once I remove the steering wheel, and then when we start wiring, it's going to be much simpler to use this harness without the dash in the way. Alright, so let me take this down before it gets knocked over. I did put a block in front of the tire, so whenever I take it out of park, the truck's not going to roll. I have our dash unit here. Also, the instructions call for removing the headlight switch. This is a aftermarket that came with the Speedway Motors wiring harness, so it's a little smaller knob that comes off with an Allen wrench. So it's not really in my way. Besides, the hole here is much larger than the knob. So let's get this set in there. Oop. Rubber gasket here. Good. Again, I have the luxury of kind of raising the dash up. Line up that headlight switch. The dash back in place. So it appears to fit pretty nice. It's not absolute spot on, and this is a factory GM dash. Of course, it's had time to age a bit. I feel like all in all, that's probably going to look really nice all lit up. Should be plenty of room there. And again, we're not going to yet install the gear shift indicator yet. This dash is going to have to come off again, so this won't be a final install. I don't have the speaker yet that we're going to run in the center of the dash. And again, the audio system stuff will come later. It's not really a hurry, but I would like to have this in and hooked up when our accessory drive unit gets here and we can test fire this engine, just be nice to have this display. I mean, the EFI, the Holley EFI screen will give us the relevant information that we need to monitor temperature, but it doesn't have oil pressure. So it's going to be great to have this Invision dash unit installed when we do our test fire and our break-in, in order to monitor oil pressure through that process. So I've mentioned it a couple of times. I use the Speedway Motors wiring harness, and I just bundled these up and taped them. It's a wiring pro tip. Use hockey tape, or as they say up north where they use it the most, hockey tape. You can get a couple of rolls of this on Amazon for $5 or $6. It ends up making it look just like a lot of the factory wiring harnesses in a lot of vehicles. So this is the Speedway group of wires that are supposed to go to your dash. There's another group of wires that's just for later add-on accessories, which we won't be using. So yeah, and then we'll, of course, like the tack wire that I ran up here, that comes from the Holley Hyperspark ignition system that they've already sent that for us, or already had that in their own harness to hook up to your dash. So next step, I'm going to go ahead and pull this dash off and out of our way. Unhook some of this tape to get this wiring harness open for us, and then start wiring it up. Also, we'll have to find a place where we want to run the two wires out of the firewall, one for the temp sensor and one for the oil pressure sensor. And I have a grommet kit that we'll use to keep that nice and clean. I don't want to run it through the through the firewall where the chassis harness is, because that's all tied up nice and neat. These two wires can be hidden over here and completely out of view once the air cleaner and everything is on the engine. And that's the way we want to make it look nice and clean. All right, so here's another wiring pro tip. If you've got several wires that are all together that you need to hook up, I've gone ahead and trimmed these. There are 9 wires that we're going to have to hook up today. Don't cut them all the exact same length, because if you're using any kind of connector, you're going to end up with a wad of them all in one spot. So if you'll kind of stagger where your cuts are, then when you make your loom, you won't have, you know, look like a snake swallowing an egg. You'll be able to evenly space that, and you'll still make it pliable if you want to make it into a loop to tie it away somewhere in your dash. Also, a good time to point out, the GPS sending unit is not yet here. I ordered that on Amazon because, I'm sorry, but Autometer wanted over $200 for their GPS sender, and I knew that seemed crazy because I put a speedometer in the boat with the GPS sender and the whole kit. It was like $65. So anyway, I found a GPS sender that does match the specs that this calls for $45 on both Amazon and eBay. So I've got that ordered and on its way. Another reason why we won't go ahead and fasten the dash down permanently once this is done. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and start trimming back the wires that we're going to use on the Autometer harness, making those match up. We'll be using crimp and seal connectors, which is really a great way to go. I'm not a big fan of the solder seal because they require a torch usually to make them work properly, and that's a dangerous thing to have around a project when you're wiring it on the vehicle. It's nice if you're on a workbench, but it's just not realistic. So again, we'll do some magic of editing and we'll have this put together. So these are the crimp and seal connectors I like to use. Really inexpensive to get. A whole package off of Amazon or eBay for, I don't know, 20 bucks or so. Alright, so that's the last of our connections that are going to be made inside to the wiring harness. The rest of these couple of them will go to the speed sensor once it comes in, and one goes out to the oil pressure sender, and one goes to the temp sending unit. So this is a good opportunity for us now to go ahead and hook the battery up and test the display and make sure it lights up. Now, some of you have probably been around long enough to remember the old tale about leaving a battery on the floor on cement will drain it, but that's just not true, especially not anymore with plastic casings. For the moment of truth, let's get this connection back in here. It's open, latched in. We don't need to worry about installing the selector switch just yet. Still got plenty to do before that. Just really be nice to test this thing out and see how, if it works at all before we go too far. Oh, look at there. All right. Apparently we're out of fuel, which I knew. Not sure the tack sweep, what that is. But I do have the fuel indicator flashing in red and shows it's, of course, 0. The one thing we will be able to test today is putting fuel in the tank's pretty easy. So we'll probably do that and see if that gauge works accurately. 6.5 gallons in that can. We'll see what it does to the gauge. Okay, perfect. Just under half a tank, and the alarm's not going off anymore. Alright. Still have that little tack flutter. Wonder though, since that's being fed by Sniper, we haven't gone through the startup yet, so that may be something that's tied to that. Also want to make a note before we end this video. The wiring harness with this dash, they're colored, and the instructions just list what color. There's also a number printed on each wire, but colorblind guys like myself have a tough time with certain colors that are similar, like the gray and the pink. So I just wanted to give a shout out to the guys at Autometer. Called them, and just about an hour later, after telling what the problem was, they emailed me back with an image of exactly what the wires stand for. I thought that was pretty cool. So now I'll put that on the screen for any of you who may need to use that reference in the future, but I appreciate those guys hitting me back so fast. Good news, while we were at the gas station, the brown truck showed up with our CVS serpentine kit. So now we know what our next video series is going to be. Anyway, that's the default display. You press that in. You can see where it lights up the word display. We'll hit that button again here. That's display 1. Rotate and press. Display 2 accurately is reading battery voltage, and fuel just short of half a tank. It's kind of nice. Clock is up here at the top. The odometer and trip. These are things you can actually program the odometer to start wherever your vehicle is. Since I bought this truck, what's considered beyond the odometer's mechanical limits, I'll just leave it at 0. Technically, the truck is brand new, starting as soon as it's finished anyway. So we'll go back, we'll show the third display, which resembles how the factory gauges looked when they were all mechanical. A lot of the stuff is programmable, and you'll just toggle down through those options to decide if you want warnings at certain voltage or pressures, low pressures, etc. So did a pretty good job, and I want to thank those guys at Autometer again for getting back to me quick on the wiring diagram explanation. Hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the CVF install videos.